That was a gun.
Not voting.
If we want to build our nation.
The problem with the Somalians.
Just want to experience something else than a black man.
Move on, move
Be
forward.
like a horse with blinkers on.
Honestly say, I was about to have
Corrupt
sex and then I pulled
crap,
up.
but it's nice.
My name is Duncan Volof. I'm teaching Xhosa.
My name is Sadiq and my surname is Hendricks. I've been teaching now for 18 years.
My name is Jean Mfunda. I've been in the teaching profession for 17 years.
Miss Benu, I've been teaching here in Langa High School for 16 years, specializing in Xhosa and life orientation.
Masukole Guzana. From the school next door. I've been teaching for 11 years, teaching mathematics, economics and management sciences.
Zola Mqoboka from the school next door also. I've been teaching at the school for 15 years. I'm teaching English, science and phys ed.
When I really started, it was the change from the apartheid era to the new democratic South Africa, and I felt that education should be the starting point, and I felt I could contribute more because I've got the experience from the previous education system and then this one also. So I felt I had a lot to offer. You find that teaching there's not much time for teaching. There are time frames, and you find that the learners are not coping. We from high school, we get learners from the primary school, can't even read and write. And then when those learners, they fail, you have to account why did those learners fail. And then when those learners fail, and then you say, they can't read and write, what is your intervention? Meaning that your intervention will start from grade 1 to teach them how to write. And then by that time, you've got a time frame to perform all these tasks. And when those tasks are not completed, then it's an issue again. When you're trying to bring all the other learners on board, the other learners who are performing well are bored. So I think there's a lot that needs to be rectified. We know that maybe whoever is designing these policies and these curriculums, they want to see change, but I think they're moving very fast and they're leaving us behind. We need to come up with a way and you find that most of the time, what we learned in the old school is not applicable now, because when we're changing the methods of teaching, you go only for a week for a workshop, and then you're trained for a week in a workshop, then you're supposed to come and perform, and then you find all those things that you paid money for, you stayed years in university doing, they are irrelevant now. So I think after a certain time, all the old teachers should go, and then we get the people that should be given early pensions, so that we can go, not disrupt the new system, really. Because you find that my way of teaching is different from his or hers, because they are in the new, they're in the new style, which I see as not working. In fact, when you look at the learning outcomes-based thing, it's the same thing, but it's just the name that has changed.
Teaching is enjoyable, but
should be enjoyable.
Yeah, but it's really it's hard for us. It's really not nice for us to teach under these circumstances, whereby there's no relationship between the parent and the teacher and the learner. For instance, yesterday I had a case whereby there was a mother. The mother came to school in connection with the learner, of which the learner, in my class, they wrote a test for 2 periods. So her learner didn't write not a single word for 2 periods. I was amazed. Then I've decided to call the parent, and the parent came. So what we've discovered is that the child has got a problem, even at home, because the mother told us that she fostered the child. Now she wants to go back to the social workers, and then the social workers will deal with the situation.
The parents of learners in primary school, they are young. And for us, it was interesting because we thought that if they are young, they should be in a position to help their children to cooperate with the school. But the fact is that it's the opposite. They are not cooperative at all. Although they are young, some of them are still studying at high school or some are at tertiary level. So, which means that they should be in a position to help, but they are not. And because in our society, pregnancy is fashionable, so you get all these young girls getting children early and they would send them to school, but they are not helpful at all.
Our learners are getting worse and worse behavior-wise. And the problem, the most problematic thing is that we're teaching the parents, because these learners are parenting themselves in their homes. And then these learners have no parents. These learners have no guidance. We are teachers, we must be psychologists, we must be their guidance as well. We must be social workers. We must be teachers as well. We must do everything, which is really hard for us. It's difficult. You know, before, teaching used to be enjoyable, not any longer.
The kind of parents we have, I understand their situation, because some of the parents are waking up at 4 o'clock, leaving the child behind. Sometimes you don't know if the child has gone to school or not. You know, it's just that you're lucky if your child, respect you, and sometimes the parents and the child sees what the parents go through, and then out of that, the child would want to to prosper into something different.
Today's learners are, but as we mentioned, there's a lack of discipline at any school, not only at these schools in the townships, but we're looking at any colored school or white school or wherever. We also have drugs on schools, and these things are unstoppable. People try to work around these problems, but it seems like there's no solution to that.
I was also a victim of being attacked by one of my learners.
Sure.
I was in grade 4, 5, 6, He was not in my class actually, but I used to train him for the athletics, And he dropped school, I think, 2 years, Then he was involved in those drugs. Then when I was on my way to the taxi with other teachers after school, they came just next to the former baker there, He just hold me, just like this. Then he put a gun here, took my watch, my wallet, my bag, and all the other stuff, I was traumatized that day. I just slept the whole day.
It's not a big issue if a learner has stabbed a teacher. Yeah. It appears in maybe in one newspaper and then it disappears. But if a teacher administers corporal punishment, it is something that everybody is going to talk about for quite a long time. Forgetting that we are dealing with gangsters within the school. Forgetting that these learners, some of them are criminals, and they are known hardened criminals that are within the school. And they come from a society that is just as confused as we are. Because there's a lot that's going on within the communities, and their role models are drug lords. There are people that are robbing, and there are people that are committing crimes. They're driving beautiful cars, expensive cars, and then when they look at us and tell them crime does not pay, they look at us and say, "Oh my God, look at him driving an old Skorokoro," and then they come and tell us that crime does not pay. And when they look at where we live as compared to the people who are involved in crime in the community, then you find that we really don't know what we are to call ourselves, educators, or we just don't know really.
I'm having a grade 8. They are, wild when it compared to other learners. For instance, the learners that I have at grade 12, the learners that I have at grade 11, they are better in terms of their discipline. But these young ones, grade 8, I don't see how you can sit with them without using a stick. You just bring the stick to the class, even if you don't going to use it.
Because of the Constitution, they give them all the freedom. We don't have our own freedom, because once they do something to us, there's nothing we can do. But if we give them corporal punishment, then we'll be arrested.
In our schools, when we try to punish or to detain our learners after school, you find that there are a lot of noises about keeping kids, and then they are exposed. Our learners are not like the other kids from the other side of the road where they are picked up by cars, sent to school by cars. They walk and they are exposed to all forms of e-violence.
When I look at this language thing, it plays a big role in the academic performance of a child. For example, if you take a child who's doing his learning area in his own language, those kids excel at school. Now look at the matric results right now. All those kids who are doing their language, their learning areas in their mother tongue, they always get the best results.
Chinese, they learn in their own language and they are very productive. And same applies to Norwegians. It's not only at school, but everywhere in Norway. Everything is written in Norwegian. Your businesses, they conduct their businesses in Norwegian. However, with the same thread, I would also say that English should be taught as one of the subjects so that one could be able to link with the international community.
We have to educate our learners for the corporate world out there, because if we were to teach them in Xhosa, there will be limitations in terms of performing outside, because whether we like it or not, the world is still under the control of the English or English-speaking people.
Yes.
And all the books and policies and things are still under the control of those people. Therefore, it would be marginalizing our learners if we teach them in Xhosa.
Looking at our result compared to the result of the former model schools, the results there are better than ours, because their learners have an advantage in terms of the language. So there are a lot of problems, in fact, in our schools. The issues of resources, the number of learners, all those kind of things. They ended up impacting on us getting a best result as we, could wish for.
We come from poor families, but we were rich in some areas. That our parents were here with us. These learners have got everything. And then when they say they're coming from poor families, we don't know what they're talking about. Because to be poor is to have nothing. We had nothing then. And then we all had nothing. But we wanted to be somewhere in life. We had to set ourselves objectives. And our parents used to communicate with us. They were not even learned. We were living in shacks. There was no electricity. Maybe we had meat once a week. But that didn't change us. That didn't turn us into criminals, because our parents were not employed. We just sat at home and then we accepted whatever our parents gave us. Whether the parents were rich or poor, my parents are not educated, but I've never thought of going to steal anyway. We used to have bread, brown bread, and sekevader, and that didn't kill us.
My dream is to help the African child as many as I could. To make difference in life, to make difference in this country.
My dream is to see the African child also developing in a way that they can sustain, in a sustainable way, where they can also be future leaders for tomorrow.
My dream is to become the best parent to all the learners and instill what values I have instilled in my 3 kids, and then to see them successful in life.
My dream is to see my learners becoming presidents in future. I would like to mold them as much as I can.
My dream is to see to it that the learners that I teach become responsible citizens of the future who contribute to the economy.
It's just to make a difference in the African child, to compete with the other children of the other, other side of the road,